I watched an episode of Intelligence once that PBS had on. I found it interesting. They spoke of the different animals and their different aspects of intellect. The three highest in intellect that I remember, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, was the dolphin or porpoise, whichever one it is. Do you have your coin? The octopus, which I find greatly entertaining. I've scubaed with the octopi, and they are very intelligent. And the raven and the crow, in the bird world. But the thing is, the octopus was just very good at problem solving. That's where intellect comes into play. You can be a dumbass all day in the street. But if your dumb ass, your jackassinity gets you involved in something that you probably shouldn't be involved in, you got to find a way out. You might be the smartest guy in the street that day, especially after it's all said and done. But then problem solving, the crows. So they talk them up to be just right there, most intelligent. So out of these things, I've seen the dolphin, I've seen the porpoise, I've seen the octopus, but it's not the easiest thing to do. So I like watching birds. The birds, the crows. There one day sitting in front of the wood line, drinking a beer, I see the crows. They talk about how they mate for life. Everybody that's, I'm not going to say marriable, marriage driven, talks about how the crows and the beavers and this and that, they all mate for life. Sometimes, as we've seen in the past, beavers, they don't have a chance. They would maybe mate for life, but somebody else pushes the issue just a little bit too hard. But the crows, and if you see crows, you'll usually see them in even numbers, twos. If there's an odd number, it means there's a rogue crow hanging out with them, flying along with them until it finds a mate of its own. And I saw them sitting from the porch. They'd usurped the squirrels' nests from the winter, and there was a mated pair that would be in the one nest, and then that rogue crow would sit in the other one about 15 feet away, probably in the air, I don't know. Had his own place, bachelor pad, and, neighbor's wife. As soon as that guy would take off for the day, he starts going over there right away, and she's like, got her ass in the air in her nest, and he's banging away at her, and I was like, wow. Mated for life, sure, but not exclusive. That's the part they leave out. They're not exclusive. And who knows what the husband went off to do. They may have a role-playing game in the crow community where they just allow some guy to show up and go, hey, I'm a rogue crow, a lonesome walker, fly by night away from here. And they let him in, and he bangs the wife. You know, that's how you keep from being too inbred, is by just having everybody bang around every direction. You know, with technology and air flight these days, I mean, we can get anywhere. And so that's the thing about that. And what do you want? I feel like I had more. Cigarette went out. Never even really started right. So what's the point with crows? It's about the idea, you know. Everybody wants to act like the eyes of God had something to do with the crows being mated for life. You know, why even bother trying to find somebody else if you got somebody that's letting you roll out into the community and that person doesn't mind the neighbor coming over while you're gone? You know, I mean, what a mess. If we really were supposed to be married for life, we would end up with the very first person we ever met. Say first grade, you got some Allison Dunn girl walking in the middle of the year at first grade with Sister Louisa going, "Come on now," and you're like, whew. And the interesting thing about that, any girl that shows up in the middle of the year means she's probably got a bad family and there's trouble at home, and she's susceptible to the Inklings of Maniacs that just sit there and notice this stuff. I didn't notice it. I liked her. Who even cares where she is now? The truth is, Allison Dunn, I'm sure you look really good. It's only been 44 years. But so yeah, trying to whistle at her. I couldn't whistle, remember? But there, if that's the person I'd end up with, she'd be sitting right over there yelling at me. Why don't you do something about that? Do something about what? You know what I'm talking about. I have no idea who you are. That type of thing. But instead, we go through practice runs. And hell, I married a couple lesbians last couple of years, 2 years ago, I suppose, almost a year and a half, I don't know. Don't worry, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I was commissioning the project, and you know, I feel good about that somebody, well, I didn't even set out to, it just happens to be. I do marials and burials, but I won't do baptisms unless it's in my own blood. I don't even advertise. People just come for my blood. And the point is, in the eyes of the law, just fuck them. Don't let anybody make you get married because you need insurance. Don't make anybody. You have any idea how much easier a divorce is when you're not married?